It's been almost 3 decades since a mainline 2D Metroid has released on a console. You better believe I'm excited. Welcome back, everyone. Today I want to talk to you about Metroid, specifically Metroid Dread, which is about 1 month away from releasing, and why I'm at the point now that I'm just so excited and we got to talk about Metroid. As you can see, I got a Metroid poster. That's about as much Metroid as I can fit on this set to show you that I'm a fan, but I want to share with you my story of how I got into Metroid, why Metroid Dread launch is such a big deal to me, and hey, maybe we'll learn a few things about me along the way. Because this is the very first time a console release of a brand new Metroid game launches ever since I've been a fan. Now, I'm not one of those long-term fans. I don't know all the details about the lore of everything. I became a Metroid fan less than 10 years ago, and by that point, Nintendo had pretty much turned off the tap on Metroid games. They gave us Federation Force since then, but come on, I didn't play that. It had no appeal to me. So to understand how I fell in love with Metroid and why we're excited today, we got to go back a little bit, a few years back to young Heijay when he was all indie corner guy over on Nintendo Enthusiast. So a couple of years ago when I started all these video stuff, I was working at Nintendo Enthusiast and I did a little show called Indie Corner, which was to highlight indie games every week that were coming out on the Wii U and 3DS eShop. Through those indie games, I discovered a genre of game called Metroidvanias, which is a genre that was starting to pretty much have a renaissance in the mid-2010s. Now, at this point, as the name would imply, a Metroidvania, we can all argue on what the game is, but let's just say it's a game that's inspired by either Metroid or Castlevania, both franchises which were pretty much dead for years at this point. Konami was certainly not doing new 2D Castlevania games, and Nintendo wasn't doing new 2D Metroid games anymore. So indie developers took it upon themselves to make that genre come back, and that's where we saw games like Hollow Knight arrive, Guacamelee, SteamWorld Dig to some extent, or SteamWorld Dig 2 is even more of a Metroidvania. And we got a bunch of fantastic Metroidvania games. And as I was playing these games, I was like, these are so addicting. I love them. To me, a good Metroidvania is, well, first it's 2D. It can be 3D, but I like 2D. You're exploring, you're getting power-ups to unlock more of the map. You're exploring the map to get more upgrades, to be stronger, to explore more things and kill more things. Like, that is the formula that I love. You start with nothing, you look, you figure stuff out, you get stronger, and then through that strength, you unlock more discovery. It's really a sense of discovery and progression without the use of levels. Even though Castlevania did use levels later on. But anyways, so through those Metroidvanias is what I learned that the genre was called, first of all. And I was like, okay, well, if I love Metroidvanias, I will probably love Metroid and Castlevania. And so I dabbled first in Metroid because Castlevania was all like horror vampire stuff. And I was like, I don't like that. And this is where I plug in the 25 episode series of all my journals of Castlevania if you want to see me play through that franchise. So with Metroid, at this point, I had only played Metroid Prime on the GameCube. I played the first one, and it was a fantastic game. I had a lot of fun with it, but Metroid Prime is not a good example of what classic Metroid is. And so when I went back into it, I believe I started with Super Metroid? No, I think I actually started with... okay, here's how it went. It went Metroid Prime, which I was like, all right, I understand, like, Samus is a woman. I think that is the first lesson you learn in Metroid, unless you're an OG fan. And then I went to Metroid Other M, which a lot of people didn't like it. As a new fan, I did. The gameplay was good, and most of the people complained about the story. And as a new fan, the story, like, I wasn't versed in the lore, so I'm like, oh, this is an all right story. But anyways, the gameplay was good. And then from there, I went to, pretty sure it was either Super Metroid or Metroid Fusion. I don't remember which one I did first because I played them so close to each other. But either way, both were fantastic games. Which is wild because I often hate on retro games because many retro games, in my opinion, have not aged well. They have these old difficulty settings which are not really relevant to modern day. Like back then, games were designed to kill you. To the way that they were made to like pad the time was to kill you unfairly a lot of the times, and I just don't like that. That said, Super Metroid aged pretty well considering everything. Considering it's almost a 30-year-old game at this point. So I've done that in Metroid, and then I got into Samus Returns when it came out on the 3DS. Again, I was excited for that because to me it was a new game, but it was on the 3DS. It wasn't a console game. I love playing my Metroidvanias either on PC or console, so the experience was soured a little bit, the fact that it was on a handheld. So now fast forward to 2021. And E3 2021, we hear rumors that there's a 2D Metroid game coming out to Switch. And I'm like, oh my God, if that happens, that is a dream come true to me. Because first, it's a new Metroidvania type game. It's a Nintendo first party game. It's more Metroid. It's on a console. Like, it's just checking off all the things. And of course, that was what was announced at E3, and I was excited. I didn't care about the price. Like, $60 for that? Yeah, give it to me. I've never like paid full price for a Metroid game because I've never been to the party so early. So it's like, I don't care. I will give you full like admission for this. I want to see. And then since then, Nintendo has been like trickling information to get the buzz going. And I have not been paying attention to it because I don't want to pay attention to it. I just want to play this game as fresh as I can be. And I'm just seeing the Nintendo community just getting more and more hype as this game is getting more announced. Just this past week, they announced, and I don't want to spoil it for anyone who's trying to keep spoilers, try to be spoiler free, but basically they announced something that is coming back from an old game. See, I'm really being like cryptic here, but it's fan servicey and people just kind of lost they're cool about it. I was like, oh man, I wish I didn't see that. But at the same time, I figured they would do that. So anyways, all that to say that we are now a month away. We're getting we're about to embark like on a new Metroid journey. And I know a lot of you are going to be joining the Metroid hype train for the first time ever. And it's so wild to experience this together. Like, this is a similar feeling, and it's kind of weird to do this parallel. But when I became a Star Wars fan, it was 1997, and the special editions had just come out, and the prequels were coming out. It had been 20 years since fans had seen a new Star Wars film, and like everybody was going crazy that there was new Star Wars. Now, maybe that's not a good metaphor because that story kind of didn't end in the best way, but this is very similar to the Metroid fan base where it's been so long, we've been starved for new Metroid lore for so long, and now we're getting new game, new lore, HD graphics, like you're getting everything, and we're just a month away. So all that to say, to celebrate, I am going to do the Mega Metroidvania Madness month, which is going to be my attempt to play the first 4 2D Metroid games before Metroid Dread comes out as a celebration of Metroid. And what's great about this is I've never played the original Metroid, and I don't intend to play the NES version of Metroid. I heard that one aged like milk. We're going to be playing Metroid Zero Missions, which is available on my lovely Wii U, which I'm going to have to dust off, but it's also available on wherever you can play Game Boy Advance games. It's basically a remake of the original using the Fusion engine, and everything's just better. And I love Fusion, so I'm like, sign me up for Zero Mission. So over on Twitch, every Monday, starting this Monday, we're going to stream Metroid Zero Mission until that's done. I want to say I want to try for 100%, but if it takes me too long to get to 100%, I'm going to move on to the next game because we got a deadline to meet, and we got to get, I think, 10 streams in between Metroid Dread comes out. So I might have to do twice a week later in September, but we're going to start off with one every Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to play some Metroid, starting with Zero Mission. Then we're going to play Samus Returns on the 3DS. Then we're going to play Super Metroid, and then we're going to play Metroid Fusion. Again, dusting off my Wii U for that. And then that's going to tie very well into Metroid Dread when it comes out in early October. I think it's October 8th is release date. So I hope that you will join along, and the community, the Metroid community, there's quite a few in the HeyJ community. If you are new to Metroid, we can help you learn about the lore, we can help you learn about references, so that when you dive into Metroid Dread for the first time, you're going to have a little bit of understanding of what the Metroid universe is all about, and then you can really experience this game for everything that's worth. So hop along, we're getting on this Mega Metroidvania, that's a mouthful, Mega Metroidvania Madness month. It's the only thing I had to write on this paper because we needed a lot of M's to get excited for this. So once all this is done, we're probably going to do something similar with the Metroid Prime trilogy to celebrate Metroid Prime 4 when that comes out. For those maybe arguing, hey, Metroid Other M is a 2D game. It's like a hybrid 2D, 3D, and it's kind of controversial, and even Nintendo has not been promoting it in the line of like 1, 2, 3, 4, Metroid Dread being 5. So we're gonna go with Nintendo's rules on this one, and that's why I'm not playing Other M in this marathon. Otherwise, I love Metroid Other M, and I would love to replay that sometimes. So join me every Monday night for some Metroid fun, and I'll see you then. Otherwise, until next time, keep it classy.